first of all, just, have you managed to put the sort of frustration that there must have been after the late goal last Friday night and the result? Because all things considered, I think you'd have hoped and thought you should have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, I said as much after the game. Obviously we were all bitterly disappointed to have lost the game. I think had we finished the game 1 each after 90 minutes, I think we would still have not been satisfied, given everything that we put into the game. All the metrics that we look at in terms of possession, chances created, shots and crosses, we were well ahead in all of those numbers. Unfortunately, we just weren't clinical enough and ruthless enough in front of goal. The first goal for Raith Rovers, as far as we're concerned, is offside and shouldn't have stood. And had there been VAR, I'm pretty sure that would have been ruled out. And listen, the winner is one of those things that can happen in football. The Raith Rovers player could try that another 100 times between now and the end of the season, and I don't think you would get a similar outcome. Take nothing away from the strike; it was a brilliant strike, but it's just one of those things that we have to accept. We got punished for not being ruthless enough at the other end, given the chances that we had. We felt we should have been in front at half time with the good opportunities we had, and unfortunately weren't able to capitalise on that. But that's in the past now. We can't do anything about it. We can't change it. It's close the gap between ourselves and Raith Rovers, but it's worth reminding ourselves and worth reminding everybody else that we are still sitting top of the table, which is exactly where we want to be.
And as you say, the gaps has tightened a bit at 1 point between the sides. How important is it now that at this point in the season that that you can turn those kind of displays and ensure that they are the victories that you need?
I mean, look, at this business end of the season, results are the most important thing. We do have a certain identity to ourselves, and we do have a certain style of play that we want to be recognised for. But ultimately, the style of play needs to bring with it results. And I think over the course of the season, in the main, it has done. We've scored the most goals in the league. Defensively, we've got the best record in the league. But there has been frustrations from time to time. Against certain oppositions where we've not been good enough at breaking them down and not moving the ball quick enough. But I did feel that the performance against Raith Rovers was one of our best in a number of weeks. Really consistent, really brave on the ball, and it's not like I can point the finger defensively and say that we should have done better for those 2 goals. As I already explained, the first one's offside and the second one is a wonder strike, which can happen. So I wasn't overly critical of the players after the game. We just have to dust ourselves down and make sure that we're ready for what's going to be a very difficult game on Saturday.
And what are you expecting from the game against Queen's Park under new management as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously delighted to see Callum Davidson back in the game. I think he's done really well since joining Queen's Park. They've always been one of the best footballing teams in the league, in terms of their overall play. I think defensively in the early part of the season they were conceding too many goals, and I think that's something that Callum has came in and been able to resolve pretty quickly. They look solid, they look well organised out of possession, and they've still got some very good quality players in their team that can all handle the ball. So it's certainly going to pose a threat, and there's areas that we need to be wary of. But as always, going into any game, the main focus is on us and what we can do to the opposition. Most teams that have came to Tannadice this season tended to sit in, try and frustrate us, try and frustrate the crowd, and we have to stand up to that.
And Kieran Freeman left the club yesterday. Does that potentially leave you in a position to try and bring anyone else in?
I mean, we are in a position to bring one in, but there's not a whole load of options out there at this particular stage. Most teams now want to hold on to their better players, but we are working on 1 or 2 things in the background. Defensively, I think we've got plenty of cover. Obviously, Liam Grimshaw plays right back. Miller Thompson is a player as well that we've got real high hopes for, who can play a number of different positions, and fullback is one of those. So I think we're well covered in the back line. If there was an exciting one in the forward areas that could come in and just add to what we already have, then that's probably a position that we would look to strengthen.
And how's your team news going into the game?
Ross Dockerty remains the only doubt. Really disappointed not to have him available. For the big game last Friday. it's been well documented how frustrating this campaign has been for Ross. He's not an injury-prone player prior to coming here, but it's just been one setback after another for him. So we'll have a decision to make on him tomorrow, whether he's fit enough to be available for the weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a timeline on Ross Dockerty at all?
Not really. No, we're just we're just taking it day by day with him. To be honest with you, it has been, as I said, setback after setback for him. Different types of injuries, different muscles. So we'll be guided by Ross and the medical department on that.
You must be happy with the options that you have now, given the business that you guys did in January.
Yeah, really pleased. I think we've got great strength and depth now in pretty much every department. And I've got lots of good options, and I think that's what you need as a manager, especially going into this busy schedule that we've got coming up now in the next fortnight. 4 games in the space of a couple of weeks. So the squad is going to be tested, it's going to be stretched, but plenty of options there for me to freshen things up if and when needed.
And has it just been a case of business as usual this week, given the performance was there on Friday and it was a rare defeat, especially on the road?
Yeah, I mean, our first defeat all season away from home. Our away form has been exceptional, and to lose in the manner that we did was, of course, very, very frustrating. But as I said, our overall performance was excellent. We should have won the game, but it wasn't to be, and we just have to accept that that's part and parcel of football. You've got to put the ball in the net to win games of football, and we didn't do that well enough last week. But we've spent plenty of time this week working on those areas of the pitch, and hopefully that'll come to fruition on Saturday. Like you say, Jim, a hugely testing couple of weeks, a few games to squeeze in the Saturday format. Just how big a test of character is this for the boys? It could be a very decisive fortnight. I think there's going to be plenty of ups and downs in every single team out there. Of course, we'll go into every game trying to win it. I think if ever there was a good time to put a run of victories together, it's certainly now. But it's not easy. You've got to always respect the opposition, especially when teams come to play us at Tannadice. The opposition players seem to enjoy coming to the biggest and best stadium in the league, tend to raise their game, very often as well. So that's, all types of things that we've had to handle and had to cope with this season. But, it could be a very defining moment in the campaign, and, we're going to approach it in a very positive manner. Yeah, some would say it's a pivotal, possibly make or break spell. How important are the fans? I mean, great all season. I guess now more than ever, you really need them with you to get you over the line, don't you? Yeah, listen, the fans have been brilliant and they've stuck with us, right throughout. Obviously had a really difficult start in the League Cup campaign, but they rallied round, they got behind the team. They've seen some really good performances throughout the course of the season, and they've certainly played their part in that. We believe as a group, we can get better, and we'll continue to strive to improve and to get more consistency within our play. I think that's something that we've probably lacked in the last maybe 5 or 6 weeks. Consistency in our overall performances and consistency in our results as well. And as I said, now is a really good time to put a good run together of picking up a lot of wins on the bounce. And I think there's an opportunity there to do it, albeit it's going to be difficult. But we believe that we've got the players capable of doing it.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
You're moving into this very tight schedule. Sometimes when there are gaps between games, you've got plenty of time to look at new things and plan new things from there. But you're going to be going into a schedule of basically play, recover, back in, assess things, play, recover, and it's just going to be on and on. Do you think that could maybe be of an advantage to play all these games so quickly, where you're having to go with what you've got on it?
I think if you ask the players, I think they would certainly rather play games in quick concession. I remember being a player myself, and as much as I enjoyed the training aspect of it and trying to keep fit, there's nothing like playing game after game in a short period of time, especially when you're winning. They can't come around quick enough. So we're quite fortunate where we've got a lot of strength and depth within the squad, and there is occasions where it's going to be tested. fitness-wise, we're actually in a decent place considering, it's only Ross Dockerty really that we've got to concern over at the moment. Everybody else is in a good place, and the important thing for me and for the medical team is to make sure that we've got good availability going into these big games, and I've got options there now where, given the competition that we have in the squad and the cover that we've got in every position, I've got flexibility there to change things up and freshen things up, and that's something that we will do throughout the next couple of weeks.
The last game against Queen Park at Hampden was quite frustrating. Finished 0-0, and obviously it was very difficult to break them down. Do you see it being very similar again, or have you put a different plan into action this week during training?
No, I mean I expect it to be similar. I expect Queen's Park, when they don't have the ball, to sit quite deep and get plenty of bodies back in behind it. And then when they do, win possession in those transitions, I expect them to try and hit us on the counter attack with pace. So we've planned and prepared for all of those scenarios, but ultimately we're at home. The onus is on us to take the game to the opposition, to start the game on the front foot and be positive right from the outset. And the first goal in this league is all important at times, and it would be nice for us to get our noses in front because we haven't done that in the last couple. So yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, and as we touched on earlier, the fans are going to play a huge role in that, and we would ask them just to continue to turn out in the good numbers that they have done, get behind the team, and recognise the importance that they are to the team when they get behind the boys and encourage them. It certainly does give them a lift.
Is it frustrating that there are no easy games in this league? Every game that you come across is as difficult as the last one and as difficult as the next?
Every team possesses their own different challenges, lots of different systems that you have to prepare for. But I think we've shown in the main this season that we're capable of playing against any team, but we have never underestimated anybody. Right from day one, if you go back to one of the first interviews I done, there are no easy games. Every team is capable of causing you problems, and that's always been our approach, and that will continue to be our approach between now and the end of the season. Everybody's capable of beating each other, and that will remain the same.